It's really started, has it? إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. My dear respected brothers, we start first and foremost by praising Allah Azza wa Jal, the King, the Master, the Sustainer, the Creator of everything that we see and everything that we don't see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who every single living thing relies on Him, and He relies on nobody. This is the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jal. Every single one of us exists because Allah allows us to exist. None of us are walking around now due to our own free will or due to our own abilities. We are here because Allah allows us to be here. We send peace and blessings upon His beloved creation, His best creation, and that is our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our teacher, our master. And my brothers, I remind myself and I remind you all to have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. To have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. The brothers were asking me to maybe touch on dunya, touch on the topic of dunya. And there's a beautiful story that I always like to narrate. The story is mentioned in Al-Isra'iliyat, and it was made famous by Yusuf Estes. And I'm sure if any one of you was to jump on YouTube and put in the 3 loaves of bread, you'll get the story. It's a very, very deep story. It has a lot of meaning to it. And I wanted to share it today because it deals directly with the issue of dunya. And the story has it says that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he was traveling with some of his companions. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he was traveling with some of his companions. So they got hungry. So they got together and they collected whatever money they could, and then they appointed one man and said to him, how about you go into the town and whatever you can buy with this money, buy us some food so that we can eat. So this companion, he took the money and he goes into the town, and when he gets into the town, he uses his money and he realizes that all that this money could buy was 3 loaves of bread. Now automatically, and please, when you listen to the story, try to live the story, not just be entertained by it, you know. Put yourself in this man's shoes. So he looks at the 3 loaves of bread and he's starving. He's thinking, man, there's a lot of companions back there and there's only 3 loaves of bread. If I take this back, how much am I really going to eat? So Shaitan whispers to him, gives him, that friendly advice. Says to him, look, how about you eat one, go back and say that all you could buy was 2. And that's exactly what he did. So he ate one of them, went back to Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and gave him the 2 loaves of bread. So Isa says to him, who ate the 3rd? The man is baffled. Who ate the 3rd? He's thinking, how did he know? So automatically, the first thing he did, and a lot of us tend to do this, was he lied. He says, but there was only 2. He says, I only bought 2. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he didn't want to argue with the man. They carried on their journey. As they carried on their journey, the companions, they were successful in hunting a deer. So they seen a deer, they hunted it, they cooked, they all sat around and they ate this deer. So then Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Jesus, by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, he gives life back to the deer in front of their very eyes. Gives it life. It came back to life. It stood in front of them and ran away. So he leans over to the man and says to him, I'm asking you, by the one that gave life to this deer, who ate that 3rd loaf of bread? The man insists. He says, but there was only 2. He says there was only 2. So he didn't argue with him. They carried on their journey. Until eventually they got to like a flooded river. They had to cross the river, so they needed to get to the other side, and this river was flooded. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he gathers his companions, they all hold hands, and then by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, he allows them to walk on the surface of the river. The surface of the water. They walked on the surface of the water and then they got to the other side. The men are amazed. A miracle in front of their very eyes. When they reach the other end, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he leans over to the man and he says to him, I'm asking you, by the one that allowed us to walk on the surface of the water, who ate that third loaf of bread? The man says, but there was only two. He says, there was only two. I only bought two. So they carried on. Until eventually they reached the place, they reached a particular destination where they sat down. And Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, with his blessed hands, he had collected some dirt, and he pulled together 3 piles of dirt. And then by the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jal, by Allah, he turns the dirt into gold and calls the man over. He says, one pile is for you, one pile is for me, and the third pile is for the one that ate that third loaf of bread. So the man doesn't waste a minute. He says, I ate the third loaf of bread. Now there's money, brother. Now there's papers involved. He says, I ate the third loaf of bread. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, his system for you is all 3 piles of gold. You take everything. But you cannot join us anymore. This is where we divide. So this guy's thinking, who needs the Prophet and who needs the companions? Look at all this fortune I've made, So now he's sitting back, he's planning out his future like many of us do. He's probably thinking, I'll buy a house on the water and I'll use another pile to invest and then I'll use that money to pay for one. Right? And then, he's starting to do his calculations. Shortly after, these 3 thieves came along. They see the man and the 3 piles of gold. The first thing they did was they killed him. So now the 3 men are thinking, well, look, it's pretty straightforward. There's 3 piles of gold. There's 3 of us. But they too were hungry. So they spoke amongst one another and then they said, look, how about one of us takes some money, goes to the town, buys us some food. We'll come back, we eat together, everyone takes his money and we all go our separate ways. So one of them volunteers, he says, look, I'll go into the town. He grabs some money, he goes into the town, but then on the way he's starting to think. He's thinking, what's the bet? They're planning something against me. And while he was buying something, the other 2 are thinking, what's the bet? He's planning something against us. So the man gets there, he buys some food and then he poisons the food. On his return, the 2 killed him. They sit down to eat the food that he brought. Little did they know it was poison. Shortly after, they also died. Some time later, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam walks back with his companions. He sees his former companion, the 3 thieves, and the 3 piles of gold untouched. So he leans over to his companions and he says to them, this is Hayatul Dunya. He says, this is the life of this world. And this is what it will do for whoever runs after it. My brothers, this dunya, as I say many times, it's crippling the ummah. It's poisoned every single one of us. We have forgotten our purpose on earth. We have forgotten that we are going to a place that is far greater, and our vision has become extremely short-sighted, and all that we can think about, and all that we can dream about, and all that we can hope about, and all that we sleep about, and all that we work about, and all that we study about is this world. And what is the reality of this world, really? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hadith after hadith, hadith after hadith, is exposing the reality of this world. What is it really? What do you take with you? He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, يَتْبَعُ الْمَيِّتَ ثَلَاثًا أَهْلُهُ وَمَالُهُ وَعَمَلُهُ. The Prophet of Allah is saying, brother, 3 things will follow you to the grave. 3 things will follow you to the grave. He says, your family, your wealth, and your deeds. He says 2 of these things will bury you there, and only, right? He says the 3 of them will take you, they will bury you. 2 things will come home, and only 1 thing will remain with you there in the grave. He says your family and your money, they come back home, then they start fighting it out with one another. No, he left me this, no, he left me that, no, what did he leave for you? No, this is how much he left for me. And you and I, my brother, what are we left with at the grave? What are we left with? Nothing. We're left with nothing. We're left with what? We are left with our amal. Shaitan makes us think, We're collecting and collecting and collecting and collecting. And for what? Brother, you can't take it with you when you go. When they bury you naked like the day your mother gave birth to you. You don't take anything with you. What did one of the kings of the past say? He says, when you bury me and stick my hands out of the grave. So his men were thinking, what's... We're not understanding this sticking the hands out of the grave. He says, let it be known to the world that this king, when he went, he took nothing with him. He went empty-handed. He went empty-handed, brother. He took nothing with him. My brothers, the Muslim and the Muslimah needs to understand this world is not for you. Haven't you noticed? Honestly, haven't we? And we all know this. And every single one of us, whenever I speak to the boys, say, brother, I don't love this world. I don't love money. Allah says, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. Allah says, verily you love wealth. Allah says, you love wealth. And then even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, He says, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Allah is speaking to you, my brother. Allah, your creator, the one who designed you, the one who designed everything around you. Allah is saying, do you choose this world after the hereafter? بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيا. What is this world compared to the hereafter? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, مَا الدُّنْيا فِي الْآخِرَةِ. The Prophet of Allah, my brothers, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying, what is this world compared to the hereafter? What is it? He says it's like one of you is to dip his finger into the ocean. One of you is to dip his finger into the ocean and see what comes back. What do you return with? Have you ever done this before? It's that little drop. You know that first big drop and then it falls? He says that is this dunya and the vast ocean is the hereafter. My brothers, does it make any sense that we give up this ocean for that little drop that's on your finger? Does it? Wherever I go, wherever you go, and you speak to the boys, brother, how was your iman? Oh, brother, it's not the best. Brother, why? Oh, brother, I'm busy. What are you busy doing? Oh, brother, you know how it is. Well, it's just work and business and studying, and I'm doing this and I'm coming in, I'm going there and whatever have you. And he's spending his whole life doing all of these things and he's forgetting his purpose. Brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't create you. My brothers, please, we need to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't create us, for you to work hard and buy cars and buy fancy houses and mashallah go on holidays at the end. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create you for any of this. This is not the reason why you are on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you for a reason, for a purpose that is far greater. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I've created you for worship. You're in this world for how long? 50, 60 years. He says, you worship me in these 50, 60 years. If you pass the test, for you is a paradise, an ever-living abode. تجري من أنهار تجري من تحتها. He says, جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار. He says, a paradise under which, under your feet, rivers flow. خالدين فيها أبدا. You will be in there for eternity. What is this world? He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet of Allah, he says in the hadith, he says, لو كانت الدنيا, that if this world, this world that we're so attached to, man, we're so in love with, speak to any one of us, honestly, if we are really sincere and we are honest. Any one of us now, grab any young man, any old man, grab any sister, any married sister, anyone. Tell a sister, what is your dream? Muslims, tell him, what is your dream? What is your ideal life? Brother, of course to worship Allah, brother. What do you? But in the process, the ideal life is to earn that right degree, making big money, very little work. We own my house, I own it outright, Got this beautiful car in the driveway. And mashallah, we go to Hajj every year maybe, or maybe Umrah trip, me and the family, in the middle of it. That's our dream. That's what we're living for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want any of this. Sahaba and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam who had nothing. They had nothing. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she's telling her nephew Urwa radiallahu ta'ala anhu, she says to him, by Allah, you need to understand this is the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She says to him, by Allah, 3 full moons would pass us by. Not 1, 3 full moons, 2 full months, 2 full months would pass us by, and not a single flame would be lit in any of the 9 houses of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Not a single flame, no boiling, no cooking, of any sort. Of any sort. In not 1 house, in the 9 houses of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Urwa asked her, he says to her, oh my auntie, how did you people live? How did you survive? She says to him, Al-Aswadan, Al-Tamr wal-Ma. She says to him, we lived off water and dates. Except maybe every now and then one of the neighbors of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if he milked his goat, they used to send us some milk. This was the life of not mashallah, our teacher, our sheikh. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the greatest creation of Allah. The greatest creation of Allah. And this was the life. And sometimes we think, brother, relax. He lived in Saudi. We live in Australia. The conditions are different. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Sahih Hadith, he says, Allahumma ja'al rizqa ali Muhammadan quta. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to make the dua, oh Allah, make the provisions not only for him. He says, for me and my family, make the rizq of my family the bare minimum. He says, make the rizq of my family the bare minimum. One time he seen Aisha eating twice in one day. And we're not talking like she had, a Big Mac meal or... What was she eating? Bare minimum, basics. He's seen her eating twice in one day. Maybe in the morning he's seen her eating some dates, and then in the afternoon he came back and he seen her, maybe she was having some, like that really coarse bread. He says to Aisha, have you got nothing to do but eat all day? He says, so is this all that you live for, eating? What did she eat, man? She had 2 morsels of food. One time he was walking with Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, my brothers. This. He picks up a date off the floor, and it was a rotten date. So he picks off the rotten part until whatever he can salvage, and then he leans over to Abdullah and says, do you want some? Abdullah's thinking, you're like serious, eh? Do I want some? What's left? You pick it up off the floor in front of me, and I see you taking off the rotten part. It's not like, it was something he had in his pocket. I see you take off the rotten stuff in front of me, and now you're asking me if I want. He says to me, Ya Rasulullah, with all respect and adab, he says to me, look, I don't desire it. He says to me, oh, Abdullah, for you it's an issue of desire. Whereas for me, 4 days have passed me, and not a single thing has entered my stomach. He wasn't concerned about this life, he wasn't concerned. This world is nothing, my brothers. Wallahu al-Azim, it's nothing. It's a deception. It's a dream. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, He says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and what is this world? What is this world? Hassan al-Basri says, he says, this world is but what? One of you went to sleep, seen a nice dream, woke up in the morning, and it was gone. Allah is saying, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا. What is this world? Except it's a deception. It's a dream. I've been saying to the brothers lately, I don't know about you, but I keep having this reoccurring dream. Is anyone here who keeps having a reoccurring dream? Anyone? No? I keep having this reoccurring dream. It's a silly dream. It's a funny one. But I keep having this dream that I can jump very high. And I've been having it for like about 8 years now. Alright? Yeah, honestly, I don't know what it is. Maybe, I don't know what I'm smoking before I go to sleep, or I don't know what I'm on, right? But it's this dream. Yeah, I maybe have it once a year. Maybe once a year. It's this dream that when I go to sleep, I imagine that I can jump very high. I mean, like, it's almost like I'm flying. Yeah, from here to Lekemba, it's like 2 jumps. Right? It's like, and then I jump back up, and and as I'm jumping, I'm looking down. Anyway, the last one I had, right, I think it was maybe like about a year ago. By Allah, Wallah Adim, I'm in the house of Allah. It felt so real. It felt so real that when I woke up, and I live in Guildford, when I woke up, it didn't feel like it felt like I was still in the dream. So I woke up out of the bed, and when I got up, I came to jump. And I realized, hang on, I'm actually not going anywhere. I thought, wow, it felt that real. That's how real this dream felt. And honestly, how many of us, and please boys, we're kicking back now, let's be honest. How many of you have really had that dream? Every one of us has had that dream. You know the dream when you're on Vaucluse, mashallah, in Double Bay somewhere. You got that, that double, triple story house. That beautiful house that's on the water. You got this gun of a wife, 6'2", looks like a Ferrari. You look outside the window and there's this beautiful BMW X5 parked in your driveway. You think, yeah, that's it. And then you wake up in that dream, you wake up and you realize that you're living in your father's granny flat in Auburn. And the Ferrari-looking wife looks like a maxi van, 4-seater. And then you look outside and what was supposed to be an X5 in the driveway is a repairable write-off Mazda 3 you've been trying to sell for 6 months, but no one wants to buy it because it's on revs. But we're all living this dream. We're all living this dream. Like you're going to take it with you. My brothers, how many people came before us and left? What did they take? What did they take? Brothers, we're here to worship Allah. We're here to worship Allah. Please understand, Allah doesn't care about these trivial things. Allah doesn't care. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says in the Sahih Hadith, he says, لو كانت الدنيا تعدل عند الله جناح بعوضة ما سقى كافرا منها شربة ماء. The Prophet of Allah is saying that, my brothers, if this world, he says it doesn't, but if this world was to equal in the eyes of Allah the wing of a mosquito, Allah wouldn't give a single kafir a sip of water to drink. And really logically, you imagine, this kafir or this disbeliever or this enemy of Allah, he's an enemy of Allah, he's an enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's harming the Muslims, yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still gives him on a daily basis. And he's not just giving him, he's giving them fame and empires and businesses and millions of dollars and women and cars and everything that you and I desire so much. Allah is giving them, and He's giving them in an abundance. He's giving and giving in an abundance. Why? Because Allah doesn't care. It means nothing to Allah anyway. My brothers, this world is going to be destroyed. Do you not understand? It's not a guessing game. Allah is definitely going to destroy this world. He's definitely going to do it. So what are you investing in, really? What are we investing in? I've been speaking to brothers in Auburn. They've come from Pakistan and they've come from India and I'm sure there's many brothers here that have come from Saudi or from... They've left their families, left their homes, left their friends, left everything that is dear to them, everything that makes them feel special, everything that had any sort of value to them. And they've come all the way to this country and they're going through hardships and struggles and finding a place to stay, and there's that, there's that uncomfortableness of, that first 6 months that's so difficult, and you sleep every single night thinking, what am I doing here? And I just want to go back home. And then they enter a university and they're not made to feel welcome. The community doesn't make them feel welcome. And yet he struggles and struggles and struggles, and he puts up the fight and he takes on the battle and he takes it on and he takes it on until eventually he reaches his goal. And then what? Look how much effort we go through for dunya, for a little price in this world. But to taste the sweetness of Iman, brother, I'm busy. Brother, I'm busy. Brother, look, I really want to change, but maybe just not right now. My brothers, please, wallahi, this, one of the names of the Day of Judgment, it's called the Day of Regret. It's going to be called the Day of Regret. My brothers, when death comes, the angel of death, he doesn't send you an email. The angel of death doesn't tango you or send you a WhatsApp message saying, hey, what you doing now? I'll be around in a week. When he comes unannounced. And what's our condition going to be? Honestly, what's our condition going to be? Maybe just a bit of a confession, right? I've got about 5 minutes left. For many years I struggled with this concept of how Allah, He's the ultimate, He's the most forgiving, but Allah is the most just. Right? And I used to struggle with this. This is a bit of a confession, right? And this was something in my heart. I used to think, how can Allah be the most just, but the most forgiving? And this was something that really battled in my heart for a long time. So then I remember once I was asking around and I never really got a right answer. And then I remembered I was hearing a talk and the Shaykh hit it right on the nail, man. And I thought, Allahu Akbar, the greatness of Allah. He says, have you ever really wondered and pondered how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when someone worships Him for 50, 60 years, He rewards him with an eternity of paradise. And when someone disobeys Him for 60, 70 years, Allah punishes him for eternity. How is that fair? How is it just that this person who disobeyed you for only 50, 60 years, you're frying him in hellfire for eternity? Where's the justice in this? I mean, surely you would think that, look, you disobeyed me for 60 years, I'll punish you for 60 years, yeah? Allah, why are you throwing the kuffar in hellfire for eternity? Where's the justice in this? So listen to what he says, He says, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the life of someone, Allah knows that the condition of the person at death is the condition he was going to be in for eternity anyway. So when a Muslim dies and he used to make salah during his death, Allah already knew that had this man lived for eternity, he was going to always establish his prayer anyway. That's why Allah rewards him with an eternity of paradise. And when someone dies with no Quran in his life, with no salah in his life, sometimes we think, so young. No, he wasn't young. Allah knew very well, had this man lived for eternity, he was never going to pray anyway. Therefore, he goes into Jahannam for eternity. This is the justice of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So really, honestly, I want to ask you, if I died right now, if you and I were to die right now, and the condition that we're in, now, honestly, every one of us, we're in this dream. Wallahi, we're dreaming. That, brother, relax. Why are you stressing, brother? I'm still young. When I finish uni, you don't know what I have planned. I have a big Umrah trip coming up. I have a big Hajj trip coming up. Brother, relax. As soon as I pay off my house, I know it's riba, but relax. As soon as I pay off my house, Allahu Akbar, ibadah, ibadah, ibadah. And shaitan has us in this web, Brother, don't you understand that if you died right now, you will face Allah as someone who was going to be paying riba for eternity? If you die now without salah in your life, you will die and stand before Allah as someone who was never going to establish salah. How many sisters have died without hijab on? How many sisters have died with... How many? This was going to always be our condition. And this is the ultimate justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is also His ultimate mercy. So my brothers, this world, it's a big web. It's a big dream. Shaitan has us so wrapped and we think, brother, relax. I have it all under control. Brother, millions said the same words before you. Millions said the same words before you. and they failed miserably. What makes you think you're so good? So my brothers, to come back to the issue, you need to understand that this world, it's not for us. This world, no matter how much you have in this dunya, it will never satisfy you. Haven't you, like, you know, I mean, I use this example all the time. Does any one of you remember his first car? Does anyone remember his first car? Can I just get a show of hands? Anyone that can remember his first car? Yeah? Do you remember what a piece of crap that thing was, man? My car was the biggest bomb in the world. But when I bought that thing, bro, I'm telling you, you know what, this Ferrari dealership has nothing on me, man. I was sitting back thinking, this is it, bro, this is the bomb. Not the bomb, like the bomb as in the good thing. But how long did that feeling last? How long did that feeling last before that car that I thought was so great? I was so convinced that when I get my license, my life was going to change. I was so convinced that, you know, the only misery in my life is the fact that I don't have a car. I got my license, I got my car, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 3 months into it, that car that was supposed to bring me so much happiness became the most embarrassing thing in my life. And since then, I've been upgrading my car since, and I'm still not happy. Brothers are rolling cars out of dealerships, rolling them out of a dealership. I wish I had a bit more money, I wanted to put a sunroof in. If I had a bit more money, I would have got the optional nav. How many of us were so content, we were so sure of ourselves that the only misery in my life, the only reason why I'm not enjoying my life is because I'm not married yet. Any single brother here tells their brother, once I get married, you watch, hold on. And the married man looks back and thinks, yeah, this guy has no idea, man. How many sisters thought, I'm waiting for Mr. Perfect to come and pick me up and then my life is going to change. And from the day you've married her brand to now, she looks at you. Honestly, have you ever caught your wife just staring at you but not saying anything? Honestly, have you? Billah alaik, have you ever caught your wife just staring at you but not saying anything? Brother, you know what she's thinking? How did I end up with this monkey, bro? Sorry, excuse the language. She's thinking, how did I end up with this guy, man? I catch my wife all the time with it. But this is, brother, and that's this dunya. You're chasing something that's not real. You're running after something that's not real, and you're never, ever, ever going to catch it. And you know what the price you're paying is? You're paying the ultimate price. You're paying the price of Jannah. You're paying the price of worshipping Allah, which is why you're here, man. Our happiness, you need to understand, brothers, happiness is a creation from Allah. So who gives it? Allah is the only one that can give happiness. Don't ever think Allah is going to hand out happiness to someone that's disobeying Him. Don't ever think this in your life. Don't ever think Allah is going to hand out happiness to someone who's choosing this world over the hereafter. Never. No way. So inshallah, my brothers, forgive me, I took a bit too long time. Yeah? Some more time?
Yeah, keep going.
Start running out of steam. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never will never give this happiness. And you know what, my brothers, really, every single one of us right now, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Ala bi dhikrillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, my brothers, He says, only in the remembrance of Allah, the heart finds rest. And you know, I love this verse. Because Allah doesn't say that the heart finds happiness. Because really, the heart can find happiness in many, many different places. You know, people that are now clubbing, they're happy. They're currently happy as he's doing his sin, he's happy. But is his heart at rest? It's not. And the feeling that every single one of you right now has in his heart, you know that feeling, I don't know about you guys, but I always get a bit emotional, right? You feel that, that tranquility, you know, you feel like, you know what, everything makes sense right now, man. Everything is clean. This feeling that's in your heart can only come from Allah. I'm telling you, no drug, no money, no house, no car, no holiday, no nothing can ever give you that special feeling you're feeling right now, man. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, whenever a group of people come together, exactly like we've done now, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, verily 4 things will take place. He says, the angels will come down. Brothers, part of being a believer is believing in the unseen. And right now there are angels that are sitting in this masjid. There are angels that are rubbing their wings in your shoulders, with your shoulders now. I don't know if there's sisters here, but my sister, if there's a sister here, my sister right now, and I'm not saying this to win your heart, right now, these are the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is an angel that is sitting right next to you, and it's rubbing its wings on your shoulders, and this tranquility that you're feeling, this peace that you're feeling is because you've sat to remember Allah. This is what we live for, man. And then he says that verily the angels will come down, the peace and tranquility will come from Allah, and he says that the angels, they will mention your name. Every one of you is being mentioned by name. The hadith is a sahih hadith. He says every single person that is sitting in that gathering, he will be mentioned by name. She will be mentioned by name to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And then Allah will mention your name. And Allah will boast about you in a gathering that is far greater than this one. What does that mean? It means He will boast about you by name to the likes of Jibreel and Mikael and to the angels that are around you. And then by the time the gathering finishes and we all stand up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will forgive every single one of them their sins. And I love this part of the hadith. So an angel comes to Allah. He says, Ya Allah, but there's a person that's sitting in the gathering, and there's always this person here, always. He says, Ya Allah, there's someone that's sitting in the gathering, he doesn't want to be there. You know how there's always one of us who got stuck with the brother, he said, look, we're only going to pray Maghrib and come back. And you're thinking, Ya Allah, when is this guy going to shut up so we can all go home, bro? There's always that person, right, who just got caught up. Brother, I don't want to be here, but the guy won't finish and I want to go home, right? So the angel, this isn't the hadith. So the angel says to Allah, says, Ya Allah, but there's someone, he's there, but he doesn't want to be there. Allah says, I forgive him also. You know what's wrong with our lives? Is that these gatherings are missing. You know what's wrong in your household? You know what's wrong with your family? These gatherings are missing in the house. The remembrance of Allah. The talking about the reality of this world. The talking about our final destination. Brother, when you walk outside, is it time?
Yeah.
Khalas, time.
No.
Okay, khalas. Right. Brothers, when we walk outside, and many of you, mashallah, I've seen before, many taxi drivers, students, whatever you are, I mean, I'm a tradesman, right? Myself, I'm an electrician, so I drive around from job to job. And have you noticed, you cannot move 2 meters on Sydney roads without being bombarded by 500 different advertisements. Whether it's the bus stop, whether it's the billboard, whether it's on the phone booth. Now on the phone booth, it's rotating. So if you're there for too long, we don't want you looking at the one ad, right? We put another one up for you, right? So when you walk outside, what do you think is happening to your heart, man? Ad, dunya, this product, that car, this. What do you think is happening to your heart? Turn on the TV for 5 minutes. Turn on the TV for 5 minutes. What do you think happens to you? Turn on the radio. So all of this bombardment of dunya. Naturally, you're going to be affected by it. Don't be fooled by the beard and the abaya. You know, if I walk across the road now and I start looking at those cars that's in that dealership, you'll have to wipe my saliva off the window. Yeah, because I'm a young guy, bro. What's wrong? I mean, I grew up always watching this stuff and my heart loves it. So what's the medicine? Is these environments. When you surround yourself in these environments and you put yourself in this environment and you start listening, your heart starts to get affected. So don't think now that, mashallah, we sat for a half an hour talk, everything's A-okay. No, it's not A-okay. Everything 90% of what just happened now is going to be destroyed as soon as we walk out to eat something. Watch, you watch. Start having a laugh, this, there, you go. It's gone. 90% of it is gone. The other 10%, you won't live bottom your own. You won't live bottom your own until it's gone, it's destroyed. So my brothers, we have to surround ourselves in these beautiful gatherings, inshallah ta'ala. So inshallah, we already, inshallah, to start making this Friday thing a constant thing. Make this a part of your life, man. Make this a regular part of your life. Trust me, when you give this up, you're the one who's losing. No one else. These brothers, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them. We go through all of this effort, to get all this thing happening and get the food and call the, all of this effort, right? It's for you. It's for us to benefit, inshallah ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this question out. Please ask me questions. So, inshallah, subhanahu wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, jazakallahu khairan all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Brothers saying, any questions? Look, I'm happy to take questions, but no further questions. Yeah. So questions, but no further, because I'm not a sheikh. So if it's just a general advice thing, I'm happy to